Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NYU Returns webinar on student life. Thank you for everyone who was able to join, and thank you to all of our panelists. Before I get started with the introductions, I just want to mention that this webinar has closed captioning available, so you are able to kind of just understand what's going on. And we're also going to be recording it so that it would be available for the NYU Returns webinar online. So just to introduce myself, my name is Chynna Seck. I am a uprising senior now in NYU School of Gallatin, where I'm creating my own major on Black women's health with the focus in reproductive justice and maternal health. I'm also on the pre-med track, and like I said, I'm a senior, so like a lot of the stuff that we're going to be learning today is going to be very interesting for me as well. Just to introduce our panelists now, we have Isabella Vilacampa, we have Chris Woods, Curtis Spence, and Chanelle Adams. And I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves, kind of explain what their role is and what their office looks like.
Hi, everyone. I'm Isabella Vilacampa. I use she, her pronouns. I'm an associate director in the Center for Student Life, and I work with a really great staff overseeing community engagement and involvement opportunities.
Hello, everyone. I'm Curtis Spence, and I'm the Assistant Athletic Director. My main role is to oversee the Brooklyn Athletic Facility.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Woods. I use he, his pronouns. I'm the director of the NYU LGBTQ+ Center within the Office of Global Inclusion, Diversity, and Strategic Innovation. And my primary role is overseeing the LGBTQ+ Center and all things LGBTQ at NYU.
Thank you so much, Chynna. Hi, everyone. My name is Chanelle Adams, and I'm the program administrator at the Office of Global Spiritual Life and MindfulNYU. And in my role at Global Spiritual Life, we're really at the forefront of international conversations of religion, spirituality, mindfulness, and self-care.
Thank you for the introductions. I'm very excited to get started. So the first question, just to let everyone know, we're answering questions that were pre-submitted. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask, please use the Q&A function. Okay, so the first question is, what will welcome activities look like this fall? How is that going to plan out?
Well, we are excited to share that NYU Welcome will feature over 550 events for all new and returning students, both undergrad and grad. So it's for everyone to engage in August and September. And these are designed to allow students to be able to build connections and community for the start of fall semester. And in the chat, we're sharing some websites. You can check it out. We have exciting marquee events like the Presidential Welcome and reality show for new undergrad students. This is a major tradition for NYU, and this year it will be virtual. So available to everyone. And it features a formal welcome from the university president, Annie Hamilton, and then the reality show, which I don't know how many of you all have seen reality show before, but it's really, really impressive. It's this like amazing artistic expression that incorporates music and comedy, highlights the talent that's unique to NYU students and alum. And the show reflects everything from ideas of perseverance to resonating the global challenges of this current moment. It's just really, really impressive. And if you're interested in getting to know other students in smaller settings, we have themed hangouts and affinity spaces. And this ranges from everything from avatar, fitness, Hamilton, social justice, identity conversations. So you can meet some like-minded friends through conversations about the things you love most. And all students will receive an email in the next weeks with access to the full list of the over 550 events that you can check out. But departments throughout the university are offering a variety of programs and workshops, and many of them are virtual. So now my co-panelists can share some highlights from their areas.
So yeah, the Office of Global Inclusion, our entire team in the Office of Global Inclusion, which includes the LGBTQ+ Center and the Center for Multicultural Education and Programs, also known as CMEP, has really exciting events planned to welcome our students at the end of August and throughout September. So for example, one of our bigger events of the year is this incredible multimedia event featuring celebrity, student, faculty, and staff speakers designed to highlight and introduce students to historic moments connecting social justice movements of the current moment that we're experiencing even today to moments of the past, and how all of these legacies of movements are interconnected and interwoven. CMEP in particular is going to be hosting some welcoming opportunities for incoming incoming students of color to connect them with each other and with CMEP. So if you're interested in being paired with a mentor or would like to get a mentor, during your first year here at NYU to help you navigate that experience as a student of color. We have our Focus Mentorship Program, which is for first gen students of color. And we also have Momentum, which is a mentorship program for men of color. At the LGBTQ Plus Center, we're offering lots of fabulous programs, like a makeup tutorial for an amazing drag queen, an opportunity to connect with our staff, getting to know our student leaders, to get to know what it's like to be LGBTQ here at NYU. If there are any grad students out there, we're gonna be having a grad paint and sip night. And then for our students who may be more dance inclined, we're having a queer cumbia event during Welcome Week as well. Another thing I also wanted to highlight is NYU's Reads selection this year is Just Mercy by NYU Law's very own Brian Stevenson, and the Office of Global Inclusion, along with our colleagues in the Center for Student Life, across the schools, we're going to be hosting a series of events for students to engage with the themes that came up throughout the book. And then last but not least, I wanted to highlight that the Office of Global Inclusion recently launched NYU Be Together, which is a campaign focused on change making. And it was announced by President Hamilton and the Board of Trustees back in June. And it's an initiative focused on making change across NYU's global network by innovating, acting, and transforming together through things like hackathons, solve-a-thons, panels, teach-ins, policy and practice recommendations, and so much more. So I'm really looking forward to having you all engage in our stuff this upcoming semester, or in the next couple of weeks, actually.
Yeah, so what will welcome activities look like this fall? Welcome is going to be a whole month this year. We are super excited at the Office of Global Spiritual Life and MindfulNYU, where we have put together a schedule of really rejuvenating, reflective, and restorative events and offerings to welcome new and returning students to NYU. We know that there's a lot of excitement under normal conditions, and we're well aware that these conditions are challenging in new ways. So a lot of our programming are intentional spaces to find those connections with community and also schedule in those much needed breaks. So a lot of our nourishing programs include Meditate and Create, where you can get your hands dirty, finger paint if you have that available to you, and set intentions for the semester as we move into this new moment. Pause and play, take a break and do a sound bath, meditation, and playlist making, maybe even a little dance party. And then we have our virtual open house, which is a choose your own adventure at Global Spiritual Life, where you get to meet our spiritual life advisors, student leaders, meditation and yoga instructors, which actually leads to something that started before the welcome programming, which is our yoga classes that are currently taking place online Monday through Thursday. 2 of those classes are trauma informed, and those will continue on through the end of the summer and then into the fall semester to really start getting into a schedule of putting self-care at the forefront. So classes for those can be found in the link in the chat. And we're really looking forward to having you join us.
And all of these NYU Welcome events are complimentary to your academic orientations for your individual schools. So make sure you check out, you'll be emailed individually from your schools that shows all the orientation events and prioritize that. And then you can look at the list of 550 events and kind of pick and choose your own adventure of the different things you want to check out. But look out for an email in the next couple weeks about the full list.
Yes, I will definitely be looking out for that list. Okay, so for the next question, I know a lot of students are getting their schedules finalized and they're understanding some classes are blended, some classes are in person, but some classes are also all remote and going to be online. So for the students who have all remote classes, what are some benefits that they would have to returning back to campus, and how would they be able to utilize the student life resources?
That's a really great question. I'm just so thinking about you, Chynna, for going into your senior year. Congrats. So first of all, we know and acknowledge that going into this semester will look differently from what we're used to. And many students have expressed a deep interest in living in New York City for a variety of reasons, regardless of the modality of their classes for fall semester. So whether they're hybrid, remote, mix, all of that. Some of these reasons include access to reliable internet access on campus, wanting to live with other students and friends, and experiencing in student life activities. And these reasons ring true for fall, although exactly how those various programs programs and activities may be delivered will look different due to the various public health guidelines. These are still values that people are really excited about. So the full complement of all those extracurricular community-based activities will be available to all students at NYU, regardless if you're physically on campus or remote. So this means that students will have access to counseling and wellness services, global spiritual life, leadership development programs, international student advisement, affinity groups, club life support, career counseling, all of the personal fitness classes, among all the other services throughout the semester. And these resources will begin primarily in remote offerings for the beginning of the semester, following NYU and New York State guidelines. And as we continue throughout the semester and public health guidance maybe evolves, we'll allow to expand to in-person offerings.
Thank you. So I guess the next question, you briefly mentioned like student sports and just like having that ability to be active. So for students who are athletes, are they going to have any opportunities to train or to play sports? Will the gyms be open?
Good question. We have 3 facilities that we own, NYU owns, 404, the Palladium, and Brooklyn. And we will be directed by the governor. So we're following the governor's mandate. So whatever they're in accordance to whatever they say, that's how we will open up. At the present, we will not be open for any athletic games. So there will be no games or competitions for the beginning of the semester. What we will do is open the facilities for the athletes to have practices, and those are also stipulated based on the recommendations of the health organizations and the governor's mandate, and that will be small groups. So let's say you have a team, a wrestling team, and it's 45 players on the team. They will not be able to practice as a team, so it will be smaller groups broken down. I think the number is 10 with a coach at the most that can practice at any one of those 3 facilities, whether it's a workout or whether it's just going through drills or whatever they're doing. But not the whole team will be able to do that. And we will not have any games for the fall season, so none of our fall sports will take place. If you're interested in sports, the recommendation would be to obviously go to the website, contact the coach, and find out what they will be doing. What we will be doing, we'll be setting up virtual practices and wellness activities online, obviously, and they will be done by the coaches, the trainers, and also with recommendations from our medical staff as well. So those are the only things that we'll be doing for competitions. So those students that are not on campus, those are for the students that are on campus. For those students that are not on campus, they can also connect with the online virtual access, just like the full-time students will be doing. I mean, just like any other students will be doing. And they will have the instruction, the athletic instruction from coaches and the athletic training staff as well. In addition to that, those students that are full-time will also have support from the career wellness and all the other academic and personal support that they need and that they want. So any of that they will need, and leadership development as well from our staff.
Thank you.
I think the only other thing I would say that for the training is that in some of the some of the res facilities also have additional opportunities for them to work out as well. So you can look at those spaces.
Thank you. So this is the student life webinar, right? And a lot of times when we think of student life, we think of social events and clubs. So how will that be going on this fall? How will students be able to meet or still be engaged with their clubs and social events?
So for our new families and students listening at NYU, there are over 350 clubs and organizations you can get involved with. And at the beginning of every semester, we host this big club fest where you can meet members of different clubs and check out what you're interested in. And we know that students will be all over the world and starting at this semester. So there's still a commitment to provide the opportunity for students to find community and get involved. So Club Fest will be offered virtually, and clubs are encouraged and supported to be active virtually. Clubs do have access to funding, and you'll just work with your advisors to put in requests on an event by basis. So yes, this does look different from what we're used to, but we're actually really excited about the innovation that's coming out of this, because you'll be able to connect with students all over the world.
Let me just say, in regards to some of the club sports that athletic sponsors like intramural and some of the club sport teams, we will not have that this year. It will not be possible.
Yeah, I'll add for us, we're going to be pretty much the LGBTQ Plus Center and the Center for Multicultural Education and Programs will host pretty much all of our programs and event traditions, but are going to try to find new and creative ways to host these programs and events virtually. So although our work is virtual, I think our primary focus as centers is to continue to connect with students and connect those students to resources and services at NYU and beyond, offer one-on-one support, offer opportunities for students to build community. That's really our focus, right? And so although students won't be able to necessarily visit us on campus in the same way or hang out pre-social distancing, but we do still plan to host virtual drop-in hours. So imagine like a virtual lounge space to connect with the center staff and with each other. Some examples of programs, regular programs that are going to continue between the Center for Multicultural Education and Programs and the LGBTQ Plus Center include things like our year-long first-year Queers and Allies program, which is a program for first-year and transfer students who are identified as LGBTQ plus and allies. Like I mentioned before, our focus on our mentorship programs, our Pursuing Justice series, grad students of color dinners, our Quench, Queer Plus Lunch equals Quench series, our QT-POC virtual gatherings, LGBTQ plus faculty and grad dinners, Pride Month, Trans Awareness Week, so much more. So all of that will continue, nothing will change there. One new program I'm really excited about is just knowing everything going on in the world, but also just what's needed in the community is I'm really excited to build this difficult dialogue series that's really focused on race, gender, and sexuality that we're gonna be co-hosting between the Center for Multicultural Education and Programs and the LGBTQ Plus Center. And knowing that these conversations are really difficult to navigate with friends, with families, with peers, we're hoping students will join us for these kind of drop-in conversations to learn a little bit more about how to have these conversations and best strategies in navigating difficult dialogues. And the last thing I'll add is, as Isabella mentioned, we have a number of student clubs on campus, but we also, NYU has quite a few identity-based and cultural student groups that you can get involved in. And for example, at the LGBTQ Plus Center, we have a number of LGBTQ plus student groups that will be meeting virtually throughout the fall. So for example, a group for trans and non-binary students called Tea Party, a group called Shades for LGBTQ plus students of color, and more.
In our office, we've moved programming virtually since March and across the summer, and we're going to continue virtual programming into the fall semester. So in addition to our daily virtual yoga and meditation offerings that typically take place throughout the academic year, we're also rescheduling some of those times to be able to reach international community, including a class very early in the morning and one very late at night, so that we're able to still sit in community during this time. Our student-led affinity groups are also coming back this fall. We have Stay Woke and Meditate for students of color and Out Breath in partnership with the LGBTQ Center. And those will be taking place virtually, again, to hold space, social space during the fall semester. We also have over 60 spiritual life advisors who are available for one-on-one meetings with all of you. So our spiritual life advisors are amazing and come from a range of faith, spiritual, and religious backgrounds, many of whom are also interfaith and multi-faith. And they're really open and ready to meet you wherever you are in your experience of spirituality, faith, and religion. And the link for reaching our spiritual life advisors will pop up in the chat. We also have our Mindful Activism series, which is moving online. And that's really based on practices of taking inner reflection and mindfulness and building that outwards into our actions in the world. So this is going to be taking place through our monthly Liberation Lunch series, where we are featuring Black spiritual teachers to share a practice and wisdom from their experience as we move together collectively as a community.
Thank you for sharing all of the fun things to come for this semester. I'm very excited. I feel like other students are definitely going to be engaging with that. So I know we mentioned a lot about things transitioning into a more virtual, remote, online space, but for students who want to like go to campus to sit, to study, to eat, is there space for that? Or are we allowed to, take those spaces up?
The university is setting aside spaces on campus for students to use, which will be available as needed. Should a student need an alternative place for their living space, to study or take classes, NYU's Space Planning Office is working with Residential Life, to evaluate and make recommendations based on New York, based on New York State public health protocols for common area usage. Common lounge spaces in Kimmel Center for University Life will have furniture reconfigured to account for social distancing, and that will be open throughout the day. Also, for library access, please refer to the link in the chat. And to be transparent, this is new for us too. So as we get a better understanding of how many students are looking for study spaces on campus, we'll work together to come up with those solutions.
Thank you for that. So I guess this question is a little bit more detailed on what a lot of students are, trying to understand themselves, but what steps is a university taking to ensure that students are informed of and are adhering to the COVID-related health and safety measures, and especially in common spaces that are on campus?
This is a challenging time for all of us. Safety is important, and we obviously can't impose it, but we have to be intentional. All of us have to be. And so faculty, staff, students, all have to participate collectively and be responsible to keep each other safe. It's not just about the one person, it's about all of us in this process. So we have to practice the social distancing, wearing a mask in all of our buildings, when you're at the facilities, and we have to be conscious of, obviously this is what the process has been for us, and hand washing as much as possible when you're out in the public, and those are the kind of things that we need to do, and continue to do that until we're able to get the vaccine, or it's clear for us to do so. And as I had said earlier, that the mandate has been given that we are, this is the new reality, and it's going to be a statewide, not statewide, well, statewide, but also university-wide conduct and policy for all New York University folks that participate or use our facilities and spaces. So you can also find all the information and the statements online.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, so the next question is, for some students who opted out in joining and coming to campus for the spring semester, is NYU planning on holding any type of welcome activities in January for those students, and who won't be coming into the spring semester? So what type of activities can those students expect?
Absolutely. So I do want to emphasize that those 550 NYU welcome events we mentioned, many of them will be offered virtually. So those are also open to students wherever you will be, and some at very global friendly times. For example, our summer welcome team recently hosted an open mic night, and that was offered at 9 p.m. Eastern time, and then also 9 a.m. Eastern time, so that students from all over the world could join in the fun. And as far as January, at the university, we're always really focused on welcoming students every single semester semester with a bunch of hundreds of exciting events. So you can count on us for offering a spring welcome version like we always do. I was just talking to some colleagues in admissions that there's a bunch of NYU 2024 shirts that when we're back in January in person, hopefully we'll be able to distribute those out to the new students. So you can definitely look forward to a really exciting January if we're in person.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess the question to kind of summarize what we've been asking earlier, but what is this group going to do to ensure that we don't exacerbate different impacts on the most vulnerable communities within NYU? Like, how can we support them the most during this time?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we know that, as you mentioned, COVID has had a disparate impact on historically marginalized communities. And so my office, the Office of Global Inclusion, has been working with partners across the university to figure out and identify ways to ensure that public health measures, academic life, student life are inclusive and are actively trying to mitigate negative impacts on historically marginalized communities. So I'll say more specifically for the LGBTQ Plus Center and for CMEP, our programs and initiatives serving historically underrepresented students and their allies will be virtual this fall with the hopes that we're going to create greater access globally and help build a sense of community that is really needed, especially in a moment of social distancing where it can be really disconnected or can feel hard. So the hope is that in offering virtual programs during this time, we'll be able to, in some ways mitigate disconnection.
Thank you, Chynna. This is such an important and necessary question because as we do know, COVID does disproportionately affect communities that are already historically marginalized. We know that we need spaces to be together in community, in care, in celebration, and healing. So throughout the semester, we've planned for gatherings for historically marginalized communities and larger NYU community at large to come together in acknowledgement of the challenging times that we are all facing and in celebration of the resiliency practices that we hold across identities. So in addition to the Liberation Lunch series and affinity meditation and yoga spaces where we have queer yoga, an affinity space for LGBTQ students, and Stay Woke and Move for students of color. So in addition to those, to really hold care at the forefront as weekly practices, I also want to add that we're offering a monthly healing space for Black faculty, students, and staff called Rise and Rest. And this monthly healing space is a way to gather in poetry, song, meditation, and community in the middle of the day to reclaim rest and sit together in acknowledgement of what we're all experiencing as a community.
I'll just add one of the things that's beautiful about a school like NYU is the access to the resources that we have, and that students and others that need assistance in any area, you just have to do a little searching and find who that's professionally trained or certified in those areas that's available to help you in coping with whatever you need to do to deal with.
Thank you. Like I said before, I'm definitely going to be looking into those programming and those events because, like we mentioned, it's very important to continue to support those communities. So, does any of you guys have any final thoughts or anything that you would like to reiterate for the audience listening?
So I have two that I'll offer. I think that our new reality is on the mind. So just a little bit more information about that. We are updating the university-wide student conduct policy, and all NYU students will be required to read and acknowledge the community compact statement and agree to some behavioral standards set forth in this updated conduct policy. And there's also some specific expectations for residential spaces that include things like guest policies, specific requirements on mask wearing in residential spaces, as well as a number of other public health related guidance related to COVID. But we try to prioritize communicating as much as possible. So just make sure you read those emails that say related to COVID, because as we know, we can just be very real about it. Things are changing every single day, and we're also responding to what's happening in New York, what's happening in the world. So there's a lot of people working behind the scenes to work really hard to make sure we can communicate what's happening in the world relates to our campus community. As far as I have one big tip for everyone is to participate in the virtual events. So I truly believe that college can be this transformational time where you can figure out who you are and who you want to be, but so much of that can happen outside of the classroom. So yes, this does look different, how we do that in a COVID world for now, but there will be so many opportunities for you to find community and get involved. And with everything happening, the moments where you can just connect human to human with others in the NYU community, even if that's through Zoom, I think it can remind you that you're not the only one experiencing this new reality, and it can be really rejuvenating and affirming. So participate in the virtual events.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that the LGBTQ Plus Center, the Center for Multicultural Education and Programs, and the entire team in the Office of Global Inclusion is here for you, and we look forward to building a more inclusive NYU together. I'm really excited to see many of you all get involved in our events and programs in the coming weeks, and as Isabella said, hope you can get connected with us and find a home with us.
Just imparting in regards to athletics, recreation, even though the beginning phase for our facilities will be just for the athletes, once we're getting to the next phase and we're given the okay from the governor, we will be opening it up for the students in the greater community to use the facilities for their own personal health and wellness or fitness and recreation. And hopefully you can find a way until then, or find ways to continue to practice your own strategy, routine, exercise regimens that tie into your diet control or diet regimen, your nutritional regimens and stuff, because you really need to deal with the whole person as well. So we recognize that. So I just say, stay tuned as things move forward. We'll provide more information when we do open up fully and others can engage.
Yes, absolutely. Stay tuned. We have a bunch of links that are going to drop in the chat in a moment. Follow us on Instagram at Global Spiritual Life and Mindful NYU. Subscribe to our newsletter. We're about to announce dates, times, registration links for all of the programming that's about to be delivered straight to your email. So we're really excited. See you on the yoga mat, see you at the sit, maybe we'll share a prayer space. We're really excited to be with you virtually or otherwise.
Chynna, I see, can we have time for one chat question? We do? I see that there's a question. I'm not going to try to pronounce this person's name because I'll mess it up. But the person asked about clarification regarding to reserving workouts. So we're looking at that. We're looking at that possibility, and that may be a possibility for the facilities once we're given the mandate and it's okay for us to open up the facilities. So stay tuned.
Thank you for the clarification. And also thank you to all of you guys for joining the webinar, answering these questions, and just kind of giving us students like a sense of relief. And I encourage everyone who's listening as well to go to the NYU Returns website so you can watch previous webinars. You can look up to date when the next webinar is coming up. I know some students who have questions about career development and work study positions. We have the Wasserman Center the career development webinar happening next week, so definitely look out for that. And yeah, these webinars are a great way to kind of keep up with information and understand what you're going into within the fall semester. So thank you again for joining this webinar. Thank you for answering these questions. I hope everyone who's listening has a great summer and staying safe as well. So thank you.
Thank you.